There's a deadline this week in the White House's review of displays at national parks. Here's the backstory. In March, an executive order directed the Interior Department to ensure public property did not contain anything that could, quote, inappropriately disparage Americans' past or living. Now, that material is due to be removed or covered by Wednesday. And last week, the Associated Press reported some of the information park employees submitted for review. A book titled Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl by Harriet Jacobs was flagged at Charles Pinckney National Historic Site in South Carolina. At the Washington Monument, someone flagged a book that discussed the fact that George Washington owned slaves. In Florida, an employee at the Castillo de San Marcos National Monument noted a panel about the imprisonment of Plains Indians. That employee wrote that the text needed review because language of U.S. government giving choice of extinction could be considered negative towards the United States. Joining me now, Alan Spears, Senior Director at the National Parks Conservation Association. Thank you for being with me. I read some of what the AP is reporting will be decided upon what will happen with it next. What's at risk for the park visitors if these are removed, covered, other contextual signs and markers like them?
Well, good morning. It's great to be with you. Listen, what we're talking about here is an effort to sanitize our history as it's being told and interpreted in national parks. So these are stories that nobody is questioning the veracity of the National Park Service's interpretation here. It's not like they've gotten the facts wrong. It is that following up on the presidential executive order from earlier, and then Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum's secretarial order 3431 from May 20th of this year, there are some folks who believe that we can't handle the truth as a country, and that we need to remove certain references to slavery, references to transgender activism, things that might make people feel uncomfortable. And I think what's at stake here is just the honest rendering of our history in ways that are accurate, just, inclusive, and inspiring. Okay. That's what's at risk here.
Okay, so Alan, you say that it's sanitizing. Let me put it to you from the administration's perspective. They say that these markers, the parks, and they point specifically to the Biden administration. They say that the focus was too much on the negative of American history and not on the goodness and abundance of the United States. And so from that perspective, you say what?
Well, I'd say this. I think that we have a long and deep and complex history in this country, and it involves many elements. And so, for instance, if we go to a place like Independence Hall in Philadelphia, where the Park Service is now being asked to remove a display about slavery at the president's house in Philadelphia, that what we have is people in the late 1700s, 1780s, figuring out how we actually established this country and working on ideals and principles of democracy. At the same time, they are existing side by side with enslaved Africans. That is all a part of our shared national narrative. And you can't decouple those things in any kind of effective way and still claim to be about truth and justice. So that's my response. I think that's the response of so many people in this country, that we want to make sure that there's room for everything. This isn't denigrating America. This isn't denigrating our founding fathers. It is sharing the complexity of the history at the start of this country.
You know, we've talked about the issues of discrimination and racism, slavery, the impact on indigenous people as well. One thing that I guess I did not expect when this review was announced, there's a sign titled "The Air We Breathe" that was flagged at Cape Hatteras in North Carolina because it discusses the importance of clean air. Pollution from human-caused ozone, it explains, threatens people's health and vegetation, and power plants and cars and industries that burn fossil fuels are the pollutants' primary sources. According to AP, that's one that's under review. What's your reaction to not just a focus on disparities and discrimination, but on climate in this perspective?
Well, we do have some assaults on science as well that's taking place here. Maybe let's take a step back and look at the incredibly important role that our national parks and the National Park Service play in helping to inform the public about our historic and cultural resources, but also other items, other issues that are pressing today, including our climate emergency. National parks are places where people can go. They are these incredible outdoor living classrooms that can give people a sense of the political issues, the social issues, scientific issues, and the climatic issues that are facing us as well. And what we see right now is an effort to just, again, sanitize this history so that people can have an unchallenged experience when they go to these national parks. I think that's taking us in the wrong direction.
Alan Spears, good to have your thoughts on this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Certainly.